Hello, everyone. We believe we are live now. So, welcome to another live show from Investing with a Difference. So, today we are going to talk about all things about EOS, and also we are generally going to look at the market and some comments about overall market direction. So, first of all, a quick introduction. I think all of you already are aware of our channel, Investing with a Difference. We have a few links here for your referral. Like we have Facebook page, which where we have a community building up, discussing cryptos. We have a Twitter, which is we are not very active on Twitter, but we have started posting some of our content there. And of course, we have some referral links for BitMEX, which is a futures trading, and we are going to talk about some of the ideas today, how you can make really good returns if you believe that market has turned. And this is gives you a discount on your trading on commissions, and then Binance, of course, is the top exchange for buying alts. Now, coming back to the market before we jump into EOS, so as you can see, that market has turned around and showing some resilience. So, if you remember, we did this video on Bitcoin. We broke out of from this trend line, and as I had indicated, that this breakout is significant, just like we had in April, and we had a good run up to $10,000. So similarly, I think this is a very significant breakout. It was a couple of bull trap or bear traps actually. Let me show you. So we had a couple of bear traps uh, last couple of days. We dipped below almost to $6,400. So my support levels were still at 6,500, and it gave everybody a scare. The alts were doing very bad yesterday night, but I think it has recovered very nicely today. So this is showing some strength. Again, as we see, this is just probabilities, right? When we look at the technical charts and so on, but I think it is looking positive. The key thing to cross is $6,800, 6,850 area, which is still, I think we went back from there yesterday. So today, I think next few days, watch out for 6,800, 6,850 area, and that can really mean that we are breaking out. So these are some of the comments on the market. And as I said, many people are already talking about whether this is the bottom. And I think that's where I think BitMEX can give you a leverage trading if you know what you're really doing. So we will still say that be very careful when you're trading. For us in our group, we always talk about Bitcoin being a long-term investment, and that's what we should focus on. So coming back to EOS, I think that's what our main topic of the video is. So EOS RAM is a hot topic. So let's quickly look at what is going on. So it has actually gone up quite a bit from yesterday. So yesterday it was consolidating around 300, 340 area per megabyte, and it touched a high of 535, or actually 540 area. And now it's again dipping a bit below 500. So I think this will be a volatile market. People are still trying to figure out what is happening, and I don't see it as a negative, other than that yes, it will be expensive to do the apps, but that is going to happen anyway. And remember, the key benefit of EOS is free transactions, not really. If you first have an entry level barrier, that is going to be solved by the funding, which a lot of different people are going to do. I myself, I think, have looked at a lot of funds which are coming up, willing to sponsor EOS projects, and Block.one itself has a $1 billion lined up. So as you know, that I think these are the real value creation. I agree that this is not an ideal situation for a small developer, but I think they are going to figure out once the sidechain is launched. And if somebody had already a DApp planned, they ideally should have bought some RAM. But anyway, I think this is a debate which can go on about whether this is good or bad in terms of trading and the expensive RAM. The one thing I want to focus on is how much EOS is accumulating in this contract. So the RAM fee, which is actually 1% fee on trading, which the EOS IO contract charges, this is it already generated 11.3 million or $10 million actually, let's say at the today's price. So 1.13 million EOS. Now this is way more than what the current inflation rate which is set up. And not just the block producer pay, I'm talking about worker proposal, I'm talking about everything else which is defined right now as inflation. So if you look at it, right now we are in a deflationary economy, and EOS at this rate, if this RAM trading continues, all the token holders will see the benefit of how this EOS tokens can be burned, or maybe there can be more funds generated for development. I would say that we should all come together and propose that these funds are awarded to the DApp developers. So these is speculators are making money. DApp developers are not going to be able to fund their apps. So there should be some hackathons. There should be community-driven exercise where they create a fund for DApp developer, and it will automatically take care of itself. There are many ways this problem can be solved. So it's not all about criticizing that the RAM prices are high. It's looking at the positive side of EOS, that how this is going to really make a pretty good situation if EOS is not inflationary. There are no more tokens to be added in the system just because of RAM trading. And that is a huge, huge plus for long-term EOS valuation. So this is something I wanted to talk about before jumping onto the another big topic, and that is the EOS voting. So before we go to the voting and the proxy, let me look at the top block producer. So what I see here, EOS New York, which is, I think, a deserved candidate. They have done a lot of work for the community. They are on the top. EOS Canada is doing a lot of work. EOS 42. Bitfinex, even though they have been very fair and they are doing a good job, I will highlight what my concern is with them. But overall, I think it's not a bad thing. Now, this new block producer, Start EOS, I don't have much idea about them. Start EOS, then you look at EOS Store. We already talked about them with the concern we had with ECAF, and then they were not able to freeze the account which was needed. Huobi, which is not registered as a proxy. They are not taking any input from their actual account holders. They are voting for themselves. They are an exchange. This is a big concern. Then we have an ant pool. These are the miners which are driving the Bitcoin and so on. Again, I don't know who is voting for them. So there are a lot of questionable block producers. ZB EOS. Now these are also in top 21, and they are voting for themselves. This is not good for the overall system. I think these guys have no uh, like they have not taken permission from the actual account holder. These are exchanges who are voting for themselves. And what is the concern? Why this is becoming big? Because not many people are voting. So when looking at the total voting which happened, it's less than 30%. So a lot of token holders are still not voting, and that is a big concern. So look at it, like if you go down, Cypherglass, which is a very, very good block producer, they are not in top 21, which is not good for community. Greymass is a pretty good block producer. They are doing so much work with their wallets, and they're supporting EOS Nation is doing a lot of work. So there are a lot of good candidates down. Generous, which is the one of the first block producer to build all the toolkits to help people uh, engage with the blockchain and so on. Now, what are these guys doing? Like Bitfinex, Huobi, ZB. I'm not against any regional reasons for these guys, but these are not really creating tools which are easily accessible or really making any big difference. So we need block producers who are going to really make a difference. Like EOS Tribe, they have been really one of the best content creators, creating ideas and really, really making an impact in the community. So we need to figure out how, as a community, we can support them. And this is where I think this proxy vote has to be taken into account. If you cannot vote, if you do not know who to vote for, you should use this proxy. Now, what is interesting, this is the site which is tracking all the proxy voters. And if you look at it, Bitfinex is holding top 13 accounts, which are the proxy accounts. Of course, they are the one who are driving a drive where they're saying that people can register proxy to their account. But actually, if you look at it, all these 4 million, 3 million, and each of these votes, like almost uh, like 50 million votes, they are actually all of these have Bitfinex voting for themselves. So again, this is not actually wrong, because maybe all these people who are part of Bitfinex, they want to include Bitfinex in the, or if they've chosen Bitfinex to vote on their behalf, and it is not unfair for them. At least they are taking inputs from the account holders. The challenge is other exchanges, which are Huobi, ZB, and so on. They are not even taking any inputs, and they are in top 21 right now, which is not good. And that's where more people have to come in. And as I had indicated earlier, we are already assigning ourselves as proxy. So if you see here, we are listed here at number 69. Not many people have used this right now. Only 25 EOS were staked and using our proxy. So it's not a lot which have voted using our proxy yet. But I think if you want to consider us, we can definitely help in terms of voting. And that is something which all of you should consider. But anyway, if not us, there are a lot of other good candidates. So we are not saying that you should use us for proxy. You can use any of these good ones. So let me look at the list. So I think there was a discussion that some of the good block producers, they are taking the proxy. They have like EOS New York itself is considering to become a proxy, and there are some others. So just look at these. Maybe try to look at investigate them if they are the good. Uh, like they have the good set of candidates. Even if you don't know these accounts, you can just click on them and you can see what um, block producers they are voting for, and that way you will be able to vote for if you agree with their selection, you can just let them vote for you. So these are the couple of things I wanted to talk about. And what is happening in general, I would say there is a great thing which came out is EOS Authority. They have posted a blog, and they talk about, like many people, they noted down their private keys in their computer. They don't know how to find it again. So they have given a very good direction for people who are not very tech savvy on exactly step by step process, if you're on Windows or if you're on a Mac, how to go and search for your private key yourself. So don't try to take help from somebody else, because you don't want to have anybody else access your private key. So some people are struggling with this. So do look at this blog from EOS Authority, and they have exactly explained you how you can search your computer if you forgot where you stored your private key. And because I think everybody understood that this is a very, very secure thing. You need to keep your private keys hidden, not in public site, and many people use their computers to do that. So they have used the format of the key, and they have created a search parameter and given exactly the direction of how to search your keys. So this is pretty good tool. Not really a tool, actually. This is a directions they have given. But do use this if you think you're still struggling to find out your keys. Then what else? Another exciting thing which is happening. So while we are talking about RAM, and why the RAM is needed by DApps, one of the main reason we talked about was that you need RAM for creating airdrops. And if you are hosting airdrop in a memory, you have to keep all the account holders on the blockchain and their token information. Now, a very interesting thing has come up, which is done by Generios. Again, these are the people who have done the toolkit, and they are Australia-based block producer. They are actually doing. They have a great idea where they are creating a new contract. This is Poor Man token. Again, this is just a test token for defining a way where the DApp developer doesn't need RAM. What they are doing is, when the token is created, they will do an airdrop to people, which is not really an airdrop, but you have to go and claim it. Now, when you claim it, you are going to assign your memory. So every account right now has 8 kilobyte of memory, and within that you can actually store quite a lot of tokens of your own if you're interested. So some DApp developer, if you really believe in that app, if you think that they're going to be great but they don't have money right now, so there's a way of sponsoring them their RAM, where you can own it in initial days when they don't have money. And this is just a technical implementation of it. How the real apps will use this mechanism is not known yet, but they're testing this, and this will really create a very good tool once it happens. Again, don't really line up for these tokens. Remember, this is not a real project. They are not doing anything with this other than testing. So I have seen the tendency from many people that as soon as there's an airdrop, without understanding the meaning of that airdrop, people just say that, oh, where do I get it? They are really panicking about not getting it. So make sure that you will have thousands of airdrop on EOS. But really, do you want to do you think that all of them will be worth anything? Maybe 80-90% of them will be really zero value. So you need to really understand that not all airdrops are equal. um, so that is one thing I would like to highlight before we go more into detail of this. But what in summary, what I'm trying to highlight here is this poor man token can really enable a market for which is not like RAM will not be that big a concern if this approach is used in future. And that also creates another reason why RAM is enough, like 64 gig RAM may be enough, just because of this one reason. So it's a very very early stage. The technology is just coming up. This mainnet is not even live for 1 month. So you need to understand that the innovation is still happening in this area, and people are still learning. And I'm sure more and more people will come out with some optimizations for RAM usage. So that is one thing which you should keep in mind. Things change very fast in a new technology, and right now if the RAM is looking like 64 gig is very less and already speculators are piling up, there can be a case where RAM requirements go down very fast. So these are all the facts which are still developing, and there are a lot of smart people working within the EOS community, and that is what we should wait for. And before we go into the Q&A, the one final thing is, let us all focus on DApps. There's a lot of discussion around RAM. There's a lot of discussion around the governance issues, the constitution. All those things are great. I think what is most important is EOS DApps. So if you have not yet used any DApp, and if you're new to this EOS world in terms of using it, other than token transfer, buying RAM, and if you have already set up Scatter, I would recommend everybody to go and use Monster EOS app. Now, it's a very very good app already working on Monster on EOS. You can create your own monsters. This is very similar to CryptoKitties, if you are aware, on Ethereum. Of course, it's different in the sense that they have created a different concept. So we created an account just for experimenting with it, and we are creating these monsters. Right now, they are free. It's an open source project. They are just running it on the donations, and they have very nice features already developed. And you can actually, if you're a developer, you can contribute to this project. But what I wanted to highlight is, when you really do operations on this, it's instantaneous. That is the fun of EOS. Now when you're gaming, you do not want Ethereum kind of delays. If you have done any transactions on CryptoKitties, it takes a few minutes. It costs a lot of money sometimes when the Ethereum is really clogged. And these operations, like if you want to put this monster to bed, of course right now it's not a sleeping time for him. He's not hungry, so if I try to feed him, oh, he's not hungry. So let's see if I can wake up some of them. So if I wake up one of the monster, it's instantaneous. You just go to Scatter, you say accept, and your monster is awake. And this is a real-time gaming experience. This game is running on blockchain. Now, this is something you need to understand. Of course, it's a very, very early stage. It's not very exciting in terms of the gaming experience, but it's a prototype. You need to really play around to understand how good EOS is. And you can do these kind of things in one moment, like within 1 second kind of transactions. And that is how the DApps, when they start using EOS, you will realize how great this is going. Now, one more thing I would like to highlight is what is the current throughput. So let's go to Blocktivity. So there's the blockchain activity. So EOS is still down here because it's not being used much, and you can see from the this is called the ratio of blockchain use, like capacity utilization. So currently, the EOS capacity utilization is at 0.01%. That means you can scale up with the current network itself. You can do 1,000 times more transactions, or not just 1,000, I think 10,000 times more transactions. So if you can do 10,000 times more transactions than what is happening right now, you can imagine how well we can scale. While Ethereum, which is 100% utilized right now, and they have a lot of unconfirmed transactions, so you have to wait for a very long time because of so many 48,000 transactions which are unconfirmed. And that is the biggest concern which people are seeing on Ethereum. And that is where I think EOS will save the DApp developers. And once they start seeing that how well EOS is performing, we can expect a lot more people coming in here. Now, what about other projects? So, what are the top ones? We have talked about it in previous videos. So, BitShare and Steam is the same platforms which were previously Dan Larimer built, and he has actually improved that with EOS. And you see that they're always on the top. In fact, BitShares is doing 4 million transaction, and it's not even 1% of the capacity utilization. So, these are the things which you need to look at when you look at the quality of this. And the other thing is the usernames, as we talked about. So right now we are using this investing with a difference, investing WAD. Now, if you have already started withdrawing funds, if you have used Binance, if you have used exchanges, you remember how the experience was when you have to copy paste a public key. Now you can actually type your name, which you can remember when you're withdrawing from your exchange or when you are sending funds to a friend. This is what is needed. This is very, very important as we go along. Yes, there are challenges with the wallets right now. This is very early days. There will be wallets which will be easy to use, which will be configured by anybody. Those are the kind of things which will happen over time. But what I'm trying to show you is the basic tools we need to focus on in EOS, which will help the adoption. And what is really wrong with the crypto world is exactly this, that people lost their private keys in their computers. And this is because we are still in early days. EOS had to be set up. The first time setup is going to be painful, but once you do it, then you are talking about using account names. You are talking about something you can remember and you can operate just like you send an email. You will be able to send cryptos to each other. So that is something I wanted to focus on as the strength of EOS: instantaneous transfers, usernames, and the kind of operations you can do without waiting. The kind of capacity EOS is building. This is a strength of EOS. All right, guys. So I think now we are ready to take questions. Let me go and look at the chat of please repeat your questions if you are already asked, because we will be able to see last few comments easily and we may miss some of them. So Everypedia is, I think, is one of the biggest airdrop which we are expecting. And that one is almost ready. Last we saw, I think the update from them was they are waiting for their lawyers and their legal team to make sure everything is good before they go and start doing airdrops. Remember, Everypedia is a very well funded organization. They have got $30 million from the funds which EOS has raised from, I think, the Mike Novogratz group, and which is part of the EOS VC funds. That is a $1 billion fund they are talking about. And that so they want to make sure that they don't run into any trouble. They are very, very professional team, and that's why they are just doing a little more due diligence on making sure everything is in line from a legal perspective. That's what we are hearing. So it should happen soon. I think let us wait for that. Can we use the same EOS account on Scatter and other EOS wallets at the same time? Yes, you can use. Remember that wallets are nothing but an interface to use on this blockchain. So in today's scenario, you can easily use the wallets, because as long as you enter your private key in all these wallets, that's why your private key is still very critical to kept safe. Even if you put it in a wallet, anybody can replicate your wallet using that private key. So remember that. So this is very, very important safety tip. I hope that you're not just throwing away your private key as soon as you set up a wallet, because that is still the only way you can access your tokens, and you can set up any number of wallets with that key. What will change once the hardware wallets come? So when the hardware wallets are enabled, those will store the key inside, and hopefully if they are very similar to Trezor or Ledger Nano, you will never see your private key yourself, and that way you can transfer all your tokens to that, and that will be a unique wallet which you cannot recreate. And that's the advantage of hardware wallets. That is a safety feature, that nobody can see the private key and nobody can recreate them unless they get hold of those hardware wallets. So what are the other questions? When Ledger Nano S wallet support, I think it's still in the works. You need to understand that this is a very tough feature to test, because you need to make sure there is no mistakes. And so I think it's, as you know, that it's only the mainnet is active only for 1 month. If you have done any production hardware, you should know that if you're involved with any real product development, you should know that this is not a short, like one month is nothing when it is about launching a real hardware updates and testing on some feature which is so critical in security terms. So I understand. I think I'm speaking on behalf of the community, but I think because I understand this space, I think that I'm not too impatient. Yes, it is frustrating. We should have all got a hardware wallet which is safe to use. But I think with whatever this open source development we are seeing, with the community-driven projects, I think this is really making good progress. So I would just be patient and wait for the hardware wallet support like Legend NOS or Treasure or something. Any advice for best EOS wallets? I think we have talked about it many times here. We love this Greymass wallet, which is we have highlighted a few times. So let me quickly show you that once again. But again, that is good enough for right now for using your basic features, not necessarily all the advanced features like buying RAM or assigning proxies. So let me just show you how this is. So this we have talked about it in many videos, so you can go back. And this is the link, github.com Greymass EOS voter releases, and you can download your exe file for Windows and DMG file for Mac. All right. Where is the list of airdrops with snapshot dates? Please go back and look at our video for Horus Pay airdrop calculator. They have a very good tool where you can put your EOS username, and they give you a list of all the airdrops which you're expecting. Is there a list of things costs us? I don't understand this question. Are you saying what is the cost to you if you are transferring? There is no cost. EOS is a free blockchain. Once you have an account, you can make any number of transactions. It doesn't cost you anything. What else? Please repeat your question if you missed it already. We are trying to scroll up and see what are the other questions. So I see one question. Generios account creation is having issues. Um, you're talking about, okay, how an average person will embrace crypto. So this is exactly, I think, you need to wait for block.one to create more tools. You need to understand, if you look at the definition of EOS, as I have been showing you, EOS is talking about human readable usernames. They're talking about actual real world use case. Trust me, Dan Larimer is the guy who understands the pain points. And he has promised a very easy to set up wallet. And that is something which we should all wait for. So he's already confirmed that they have done a wallet for iOS and Mac OS products, which you can install, and it can be used by anybody. So let us wait for it. And I think there will always be a learning curve. So when the e- phones came, I think smartphones were very difficult to use initially. There were this Apple Pay came when people were not struggling how to set up their Apple Pay accounts. So everything is takes a few minutes to learn, or initially it's a pain point. What you need to focus on is once you learn it, once you are set up, it should not be a pain point on an everyday basis. So what is happening in today's world, in Ethereum or Bitcoin world, you have a pain point every day. Whenever you have to transfer funds, you have to find out a public key, which is a huge key. You make mistakes. There are a lot of other issues with today, and then you have to wait. You have to wait sometimes for so many days, hours, and when it is blocked, the blockchain like Ethereum has been clogged many times recently. Bitcoin has been clogged in December, January timeframe, and the transaction fees went all the way up to $40. Now, these are the kind of things which will stop adoption. Initial pain point, I'm not too worried about. What are the other questions? When we can vote for constitution? I don't think that date is set up. And I think in the last discussion I saw, they are looking at piling up all the changes they are planning to make into one single referendum. That will be the referendum for constitution and many other changes to EOS which are being proposed. Will you stay updated on side chains? So side chains are going to come up at some point, as per Dan Larimer. The challenge is not the side chain. The challenge is the communication between the side chain, and the main blockchain, and that is not ready yet. He's targeting this in next 5 to 6 months. So it's not happening immediately. The side chain will come maybe 6 months from now. What else, guys? So let's look at other questions. We have already taken the question on EOS Ledger Nano. Um, then there's another question comment that's saying it costs to move EOS off the exchanges. So that is exactly the problem. It costs money to move EOS from exchanges because exchanges are charging the fee. It's not the problem of EOS. It is exchanges who are charging withdrawal fees. Like EOS network is free to use. And if you look at Binance, they have a very, very low fee. What I last saw, Binance is charging like zero point 0.05 EOS, which is a pretty low fee for Binance because usually any other crypto, they charge up to $5 to withdraw. And for EOS, they are actually charging maybe less than 50 cents. So you need to understand that Binance is actually doing a good favor here, and it is one of the lowest withdrawal fee. So that is what I would like to say when you say that it is still costing money to move EOS. So we are still looking for at other comments. We don't see a lot of questions yet. So uh, I think overall, just as a summary, I would say everything is going well in general for EOS mainnet. Again, let's focus on how good this blockchain is running. There are 4.5 million blocks. It is a huge amount of blocks. Just because it is so fast, you don't realize it. A Bitcoin would have taken months and months and maybe years to get to this level of number of blocks, which you can confirm on EOS. And this is what you need to focus on. We have been running this chain as a community. It is not a centralized place. It was run by ground up, driven by these block producers who are spread across more than 20 countries. And if you look at it, it is running fairly well. There are some issues to be figured out. As I said, again, I would highlight there are still issues that ZB kind of exchanges are here, who are not really doing much for the community, who are actually voting on behalf of their voters without taking permission. They are not setting up proxies. So these are the kind of things I think we need to focus on. And definitely the constitution, the new constitution will vote is happening. We have to participate in that. So these kind of things are this to be sorted out. But irrespective of that, I'm glad that still the things are working because some of the important block producers are still in the top. They are making the decisions. They are running the show, like EOS New York, EOS Canada. All these are very, very good block producers. I'm still searching where is EOS Authority. I'm surprised they are here, right here at number 12. So they are one of the very, very good block producer. We have seen some great initiatives from them. Crypto Alliance, they're doing a very, very good job. And there's so many others. EOS Rio is doing a lot of good job. So this is exactly what we need. And we just need to make sure that some of the other candidates who are doing a lot of work should come up. And that's where we need to all come together and start getting comfortable with the securely using wallets and voting. And that's what I would say is very important. So I have another 2 to 3 minutes. I'll take last few questions. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and post it. Uh, how do you see the price in 3 months? So I think price is a factor of market. So as I said, it all depends on Bitcoin, because it is leading the overall market. As it is, if it is turns around, definitely EOS will follow. Beyond that, I think irrespective of market, EOS will start outperforming when we see the DApps coming, when we see that. So it takes some time for big DApps to really start implementing and releasing them on mainnet. I would say, okay, let's actually go and look at EOS chart itself. And I would say that yes, right now there has been a lot of FUD after the mainnet euphoria when we reached. No, actually, this is before mainnet, but around mainnet, I think we had touched again $15-16, and after that, once people realized that it is still early days, I think traders have been dumping EOS. And the other thing is, it was not a fair market because in during this period, this price reflects a very simple closed wallet trading where within the exchanges people were exchanging tokens. That means those were the people who were owning EOS in the exchange. That means they were not even committed to the project, and they got scared with all the FUD around constitution and everything else which was going on. And I'm not surprised because these guys don't even understand EOS. And this is actually a very bad result, and that we dropped from $14 mark to all the way down to $8, while the people who are actually managing the price, they were the people who were least invested in EOS. They did not even move their tokens to their own wallets. And this is the unfortunate situation which I was very much against exchanges trading the tokens within their wallets. And if you talk about manipulation, it is not a deliberate manipulation, but this is actually, if you look at it from a typical economic model principle, this was the people who were least invested, who were only keeping their tokens in exchange. They were not even they were deciding the price, and they brought the price down without really understanding what is going on. Yes, there were concerns about constitutions and other issues, and that is going to be resolved in long term. So I think this has hurt the price. This is why I think, as a token holder, as an investor, we are all suffering because of this period where exchanges allowed this trading to happen. That is my analysis, and I would say that this is something which we should all fight against. We should make sure that more and more tokens are off the exchange, and we control them, and that way these kind of things will not happen. And that is exactly what is happening with exchanges voting for themselves and all other problems. And that is not a problem of the project, that is a problem of a centralized world. So exchanges are still centralized. They are not part of the blockchain. They should not exist. But for fast adoption of cryptos, they are playing their role because a lot of people are coming into this ecosystem by buying on exchanges. And that's how most of the US or China or other players bought EOS, because you could not directly get the ICO in these countries, and exchanges allowed them to buy. So this is actually a kind of irony that EOS was built and they could spread their tokens using exchanges, but exchanges are hurting them right now as a project. So I think we can talk about it all day if you want, but basically this is one of the reasons the price is down. I think all this in long term should not matter, because once the value of EOS is seen in real life, after all the FUD dies down, all the issues are resolved, I think people will see that how it can really create a blockchain based product which really runs in real world and which can give you high performance and very usable results. So I think we are kind of running out of time, and I don't see any more questions. There's a one question: Simple EOS doesn't have a receive address. So when you set up a wallet like Simple EOS, you already have created an account. That means you have already entered your private keys, and you should have a EOS username. That is the account you need to send your funds to. When you withdraw into Simple EOS, you need to use that account name which is associated with your wallet. So that is how you get money into your wallet and any other wallet. Last question. My EOS are on exchange. I don't know how to generate a new EOS address. So if you never had a EOS account, that means you always had your tokens on exchange. You need to take help from somebody else. So we had offered this service, so you can contact us. Then ZEOS, we had done a video earlier, zeos.co. They are offering this service, and there are many other ways you can create a fresh account. You need to pay for the RAM when you create the account, which is currently I think around $20. So that will be the price for creating an account on EOS. and you can pay them in many ways. I think Zeos is taking this into using Bitcoin or other currencies also. So you have to buy a new account, and then you can set up a wallet and you can do that. But in any of these cases, if you are using any third party service, make sure you are generating your own key. Do not let them generate your key, because that means that they have the private key. So this is very important, guys. Don't share your private key with anybody. When you are asking somebody else to create an account, you should own the key pair. Create a key pair. Only give them public key. Keep all your private keys safely somewhere, and that is only for you to use in your wallet. That is the only safe way. If somebody is telling you they will create an account and send you the keys for it, don't take that, because that means that they have a copy of your keys. So you have to own the keys. You have to generate your keys yourself. That's the only safe way to create a username and account. So this is very important while we are answering this question. All right, guys. So this is it now. Thanks for joining, and it was great having you here. A lot of good questions, and as I said, just focus on the good things about EOS. I think we are getting there, and very soon, in next 1 or 2 months, we should start seeing apps. Everybody start maybe playing around with Monster EOS app just for learning how it works, how good it is going, and don't worry about this RAM stuff. It keeps going up and down. It's only helping us in long run by creating these funds, which can be used for the good of the project and for inflation and all those things. And again, as I said, the final call for action is please go and vote. If you cannot vote yourself, look for tools to set up a proxy, take help from somebody, but you need to come into this picture, and more EOS token holders have to put their votes in to make sure that we are not run by these exchanges. That's the only biggest problem right now. There's no other concern with the EOS network right now. For the success of this project, as an investor, you have I think this is going to work in your favor if you do this. So thanks once again for joining, and we will look forward to talk to you next week. And bye for now, and subscribe to our channel if you're not subscribed already, and do share and like our videos to grow this community and to make EOS the greatest blockchain ever. Bye for now. Thank you.